whereas we do value, again, the rights of all of our employees to vote. We promote that. We will continue to promote that. We do not believe that this is something that belongs to the contract. Now, there were two other verbal proposals that were brought up. Is there anything that was written that you'd like for us to consider, perhaps counter with?
So I'm gonna try to draw attention to some connective tissue here, and we've had a robust conversation regarding protecting our opportunities to access to vote, and there's general consensus among everyone who's pitched into this conversation today that the district is, at this time, providing opportunities and exerting flexibility, and administrators themselves have admitted that they don't make it a practice of scheduling meetings on election days. And while we appreciate that our current administration honors and supports that, the reason that the language was requested in contract is exactly because of the kind of thing that happens when there's a shift or a change, either in personalities, the individuals who are making decisions, or directional needs of the district as an organization. And the determination to discontinue NTO this year is exactly such an example, because it does have an impact for our organization and for the members of our bargaining units by limiting that initial contact opportunity. So we feel like this is one of those times when the two items that we have presented were essentially quick and relatively painless items that could be resolved and would have memorialized what has been, based on our conversation here, fairly consistent practice in this district already. Having said that, and knowing that when it comes to the instructional contract, that there is already language in place that provides for instructional staff members who have a personal need on occasion to leave campus during their non-student contact time. We will do our part to make our members and the members of the bargaining unit as a whole aware of that provision, so that in the event such circumstances arise on election day, they know that they have the right to request such flexibility. But something that I think we can do that will help achieve some of our goal, which is really simply to consistently reinforce the importance of everyone engaging in their civic duty. So,
and as Angie brought up earlier with the communication part, to communicate that with their administration, it shouldn't be an issue. As you said, in the instructional contract, right in there talks about any time with non-student contact. But as long as there's that communication, if there does become an issue like that, of course, Vicky will never knew. She's going to be leaving, but Vicky knows if you want to get a hold of me, I'll see whatever I can do to try to figure out what happened, what the disconnect was, and try to make sure that doesn't happen anymore. Right? Rick brought up, I don't want anybody to lose something, because that's a couple times every two years, but we don't want it to become a practice, and that's something that with communication, I believe that we can continue to work with.
And we appreciate you willing to work with us on that message. Understand that the conversation around our ability to openly and immediately communicate with new hires is mission critical for us. And we believe that as an asset to the district, by providing supports and professional development and immediate opportunities to network with colleagues and experienced professionals in the district, we are bringing to the district something that is exceptionally beneficial in terms of integrating and retaining those new hires. And so we're going to continue to problem solve. Linda was good enough to dig through the support contract, and we found some language in the support contract that actually doesn't appear in the instructional contract. So if we're looking at one way that we can begin improving the process of our ability to have continuing connection with those new hires as they're coming in, and do you have a copy of the support contract?
Yes.
So I can refer to a section for you. We're looking at Article 6 in the support contract, Section H under communication. We have scoured the instructional contract for similar language and have been unable to find it. So we're looking at Article 7, Section H, number 2. The district shall make available to all newly hired educational support personnel association information. Practice has been that information has been provided for our instructional staff through NTO. And I believe Vicki can attest to the fact that she is requested to provide a welcome letter, information that can be distributed at the time of hiring so that the new hires are aware of their rights to be a part of a professional association. Sorry, I thought we had everything. Give me a chance to- It's Article 6, right? Section H under communication number 2. Again, we believe that this is something that has been part of consistent practice because we've had new teacher orientation, and at those new teacher orientation opportunities, the district, through its program, has afforded the association the chance to put the information in front of new hires. And so we're asking that as the new teacher orientation is not being held, it seems only appropriate that mirroring language in the instructional contract would help close that loop.
I can tell you this, not all of our employees come through new teacher orientation, not all of our new teachers do. We have quite a few that come in after. As I was explaining, we tried, I was in HR to get them all in. There might be 10, 15 that don't come through after that. So the process that we get that information we give to the CCA is the same process that we could be doing now with CCA. We're talking about on a monthly basis. We want HR to submit each month, after the board meeting, the information of all new hires that are in the CCA marketing unit, or kind of teachers. If that's what you want, I can speak with HR. I don't think that would be difficult for them to do. If that's what you're asking.
Yeah, our proposal would be language that says the district shall make available to all newly hired instructional personnel association information.
So you're asking for, instead of just us doing that, you're asking for language to be put into the contract that states that.
It's already in this.
And the support one, I mean, in the instructional.
We try to mirror, don't we always?
Well, on occasion we do that. It doesn't always come across just like that, but
We have always in the past practice. We've always sit there and every single time the language has been the same. So this is an oversight. My question to you, if I could, how are you guys doing it now, distributing it now to the support? I'm just curious.
I have to ask you your resources.
Yeah,
I know that in the past, whenever the submitted to me, asked me, sent the information to CCA. It was
no, I mean for the new hires. How is the district giving the new hires the instructional? They're not just.
Part of the HR packet.
No, we have new hire meetings.
So you then, when you say, because I'm never invited to those, so I don't.
They're 2 hours, typically, most of the new hire meeting right now, self-insurance.
Okay, but, so how are you telling them about CCA?
I don't tell, I go in and I tell them.
Right, I mean, the other
Self-insurance.
people, I mean, the district. I was just curious how
Yeah.
it's being
The higher
done.
meetings you
Because that
said.
could be the same with the teachers side too.
That come in after.
Yeah, I mean, but anytime it's new hires, any new hires.
And so that's why I'm saying, if you want, whenever they go to the board approved, if you'd like once a month for that information to be sent to you, that's something I could talk to human resources about doing.
I think what we'd like is for the district to make available at the time that a new instructional staff member is onboarded to provide them with our contact information and literature. As part of, we're giving you information on your benefits, we're giving you information on your contracts, we're giving you information on your working conditions, and here's information on your professional association. Like, that seems to be what this language calls for in the.
Okay. No, I see what you're saying. I'll look into that. Okay, so yeah.
We're looking for that compromise, and I
Yeah.
understand that we may not find the perfect solution for that new hire data piece. I understand that there's a contingency that there has to be board action before they're considered an
Well,
employee
yeah,
anyway, so.
that and whenever we do have, as I said, new hire meetings, it's not broken down by job classification. The last one I had, custodians, maintenance, boosters were in there as well. So we'll be giving them CCEA information. Does that make sense? So whenever we go in there, I have no idea what jobs they have, unless I just have.
Yeah, I'm just saying this because this is saying it has to be a new hire, so this seems like it'd be a perfect opportunity to also have it for the teachers. But I am curious to know how you guys are doing right now with our association being presented to us.
No, I have to find out. But I'm not involved in it, except as I said, on occasion, whenever I came out here to go open up my health insurance. So I'll have to find out.
I do think that that would be our written proposal, that this would be a reasonable compromise and a way to move us past the concern over specificity with the data. So we want to, again, have some conversation on your side about that.
I will.
I'm sure we have something right.
Okay.
Okay. And then we also were talking about the president release time before lunch,
What?
the release time for the president. Dave?
Yeah, if you have a proposal, I mean, she threw out a number, and I know we just conversation, but I mean, if you have a proposal, we can look at and perhaps counter if it's something, but.
Well, I will say this, after a little bit of conversation and discussing the possibility of redistributing some of those responsibilities for the work site visits and the union business to the president's designees, we felt that the 23 days was a good starting point. And we felt we could be judicious to ensure that there was not going to be a scenario where any one person was excessively absent from their professional responsibilities. However, I can see your point, that moving from 10 days to 23 may seem like a larger stretch.
Yeah, okay.
So after some deliberation and thinking about how we could utilize individuals on the executive board and break up the day, morning and afternoon visits, we think probably 18 days would be sufficient.
I mean, we have 22 school sites. Okay, so if you're going morning and afternoon visits, if we did one in the morning, one in the afternoon, that would be 11 days, correct?
We're not talking now about going morning and afternoon now though, because of everything that's changed. We're talking about full days, that way we meet people also doing the planning.
Okay, so we're talking about now, so the entire day being there. Now, this is on top of the other days that are in the contract for lobbying, correct? So we're talking about 18 and then 12, like,
I can't remember, but
Okay, so that, if there were 12, then we'd be talking about 30 days where we have people off campus. And again, that comes back to the same concern that I had before about that, people not on campus whenever kids are there. comes back to it, that's the reason why we're here, because kids on campus, we should really be on campus doing whatever we can to help them. So that's a concern I have whenever we increase by that amount. I know we have more schools, I understand that, but as I said before, most of your schools have a site rep. I realize they may not all. I don't know who all they would be if they did or didn't. But the thought that we would increase by 7 or 8 is quite a sizable amount. It's an 80% increase over what we've had in the past. It seems to me personally excessive.
Well, in fairness, since Vicki has experience as president of the organization and knows what's involved in the work of the union, I think that when we've had a breakdown and serious discussion of how that time would be utilized, she put on the table 23 days because she really believed that that was what it would take for her to provide ample support to the members of the bargaining unit that elected her. She's conceded 18 days, down to 18 days, as a compromise, a show of good faith that she's not looking to gain personal days for herself. She's willing to distribute those days across her designees. And she's demonstrated in the past, certainly, that she's judicious with how she spends her time. So, and I don't know that we agree with your assessment that 18 days would be unreasonable.
I said excessive.
Oh, excessive, sorry.
But if that's your proposal, in just a few minutes we can caucus and talk about it. I would like, there's 3 things you guys have brought up today. I would like to bring up one proposal because we spoke about it last time about the supplements for psychologists before we caucus and speak about the others, if you don't mind. Is that okay? You okay with that? Okay, I just want this to be out there so something you can look at. Currently, our psychologists and speech language pathologists, Deborah, I know you remember when it happened. The supplements are set up where if they were here before a certain date, they received what the supplement was at that time, which was $3,800. Okay. If they came after that amount, the supplement was $2,400. Much like whenever we went to performance pay and we had the placement scale versus our old salary scale. Our proposal is this, okay, that for the school psychologists, in order for us to become competitive with other districts, that we increase the supplement from the 2 I just mentioned, $2,400 for newer hires, $3,800, $7,500. And for the speech language pathologist, which has the same amount, $2,400 for the newly hired, $3,800 for those who've been here before, increase that supplement to $5,000. We believe this will make us more competitive in an extremely tight market for those positions based on our surrounding counties. We think that would be very prudent, and I'm going to let Ms. Kirby, if you all have any questions, she can speak to this. This is her area of expertise. If anyone has any questions regarding that.
So there's 14 school psychologist positions.
Right now, we currently have 10 school psychologists under the EAC department. There are 2 positions posted under the mental wellness grant that we've had. I shared with you, 0 applicants. I can tell you that for next year, they may relook at that. Since we can't get any psychologists, maybe they'll look at perhaps they need some other sort of counselor.
So you said, okay,
So
how
we
many
have
positions
10.
are?
We have 10. Right now, I have 9 filled for next school year, and I have 1 open that I have no applicants.
Okay, so 10. I was thinking that you're gonna,
It was 10 plus 2 is 12, and then we had 2 people leaving, and so I think that's where the vacation came in. Thinking
okay,
it
so
would be
is it
12
10 or
plus 2.
12?
It is 10 is what we have. I have 2 people retiring. I have a conditional contract with our intern, which
Okay,
will get us
10
to
slots.
9. Exactly, yes, ma'am. It'll be, right now I have 9 under contract for next school year.
Okay, and how many slots for speech pathologists?
Speech pathologists, I have contracts. Potentially, you could have as many as 15 to 18. I currently have about 12, and then the others I'm filling with contract work. So we're spending close to $300,000 a year on contract work for SLPs.
We're spending how much?
About close to $300,000 for this school year on contract work. It goes between, it has been as low in the last 5 years, as low as 176, I believe, and I think it's approached 300,000 last school year. This year is a little bit better. Krista was able to find us 4 people that we hired, so our contract work wasn't as high. I can tell you that as far as comparing to surrounding counties, I have something I wrote up, but I really didn't want it for public dissemination, so that's why I'm going to give it to everybody. But I can give you examples of some daily rates in comparison, and I can tell you, as I shared with you, our psychologists are between $40 and $50 less a day than our surrounding counties, with the exception of Levy County. It's a nice. And then our speech pathologists are closer to being within range, and that's why I didn't recommend as high of a supplement increase for them, because we have been able to find some, but we still have significant needs there. And this would put us right in, if we're able to do the 5,000 for the speech and language, it would put us right in the mix of our neighbors. Whereas even with the 7,500, we're still a good $25 to $30 a day less than our neighbors, but at least we're closer with psychologists. And then we estimated the cost, plus including the benefits, at about $53,000 for school psychologists, and approximately, for SLPs, it was going to run about $42,000 for the increase in.
Oh, for the increase, I was gonna say,
No, that's a
10
total.
times 7,500 is $75,000.
And it's not that much, because remember, they're already getting
There's some
either
of them already getting
24 or
3,800.
3,800.
Oh,
So they're
okay.
not getting 75 plus 38.
This is
So
the
It's
difference.
instead of 20, yeah, exactly.
So it's only the new ones, new hires that we get the 7,500.
No,
Bringing everybody.
everybody would go up to
Okay.
75. So for some, an established Brett Holland, not to talk about it specific, but somebody who's been there longer, he would go from 38 to 75. Whereas our newer hires would go from 24 to 75. And then same thing with the speech. We have newer hires at 24, so they'd go to 5. And then our more experienced SLPs would go from 38 to 5. And the cost of theirs, again, was about $42,000. And the cost for the psychs was about 53. So it's a net cost of about 95,000. We have looked around to see what it would cost us to contract for a psychologist, and we're looking at about 112,000 a year to start
For one
So
psychologist.
we're going to do what we can to make do with the 9 that we have, and still continue hoping that this might help draw some more applicants at the very least. You know, Hernando is probably our biggest competitor right now, and it's because they give a $9,100
91
critical shortage
Yeah.
to those areas, plus OTPTs, behavior.
So you said last time that this would be the position supplement, they would still continue to receive the advanced degree supplements
Oh,
in the
yes,
contract?
absolutely. You know, and because everything that we know from other counties, since you do represent other counties, if I may ask, we're reading it from their contract and we're interpreting it as best we can.
Right.
So if there's anything I'm ever saying that is inaccurate, please don't hesitate. But based on what we were able
Right,
to deduce,
right.
that their 91 was in addition to their advanced degree supplement.
And some of them have different contract days, which is why the daily rate allowed us to compare apples to apples.
Right.
instead
So
of
that's why we
something else.
divided it by a daily rate, because I thought that was the easiest way to compare.
Yeah.
Otherwise, because ours do work more days
Mhm.
than other counties, but I don't know if they have them come in some sort of extra duty. I mean, I don't know those fine details. But based on what I have, that's why I thought it was most equitable to look at it as daily rate.
Can you clarify, my understanding is that some of the categorical funds that we receive as part of the Safe Schools Initiative mental health
Yes.
supports, the state is scrutinizing use of those dollars for standing allocations that we had prior to the ratcheted up attention for our mental health services. Are we
That's accurate.
able to use those funds to help offset this increase in some way?
I would be, the real answer is we would have to check with that committee, but my nervousness is would it be seen as supplanting rather than supplementing? Because that's typically where the line is drawn in the sand. I know for IDA, for title programs, it's always making sure we're not supplanting, and I would be nervous if we could use those funds. Like I said, since we're not able to find school psychologists, I know that they're looking at using some of those funds perhaps in a different direction. Because we have to have the support.
Mental health counselors or
Exactly. Since I've not been able to get any, it was a great idea, and I think if we can find school psychologists, we would love to have them, because they are our, they're taking care of our tier 3 most needy students when it comes to their mental wellness needs. Now, of course, we do also refer outside. A good question. We can certainly check into that and come back to you. And I know that the next round of that grant or submission, I don't even know that it's a grant, because I think we're kind of automatically slated to get those funds, is coming up, I believe, probably due in June. I believe that's when it was due last year.
Okay, and when you quoted the total costs for the additional supplements, that included increased contributions to FRS for those supplements?
It was including all the benefits. We did the 17.5%.
I have the current FRS rates. We don't know what they may increase to.
Right,
Right.
that's not known yet, right?
Yep.
Like, for example, and it was also based on going by each, for example, psychologist, whether they had the 24 to 38 and what the difference was. So we did it to the best of our ability. We didn't have HR pull it and like rerun the numbers or anything like that. So this was based on Mr. Ballmer and myself sitting down, going person by person and looking up to see which one they got. And so we did the best of our ability. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is don't hold me to the exact penny, but we should be, that should be close.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate the clarification.
And I do respect that it's a lot of money. It is a chunk of my nervousness again, is that the district from the general fund, because I'll clarify that too, IDEA can't pay for these people. And these people have to come out of the general fund, the majority of their salary, because they're supporting our general population. So if I don't get to hire people, I have to have them anyway. I have to provide the services legally. And so we're gonna wind up having to take that from the general fund. So that's, we're trying to be as proactive as we can to help support this group.
And so the cost of a single contract was?
That's a recent one. Sarah Hebert, who's one of our co-leads, was in contact with a company, and that's what she was told. $112,000 is what that would be. I can find an email and tell you exactly who it was with. But I have not pursued, my preference would not be to have contractual psychologists. I have enough SLPs to oversee that process that I feel confident in the services that are being provided, but a psychologist is so integral part of schools that I wouldn't be my preference. I would just put it that way.
Do you have any other information you want to share about the supplements before we caucus? This is what you wanted to get to us
Yes,
before we?
ma'am.
Okay.
It involved money. I wanted to get it as quickly as we could.
So can we then, just to give food for thought, since we're going to be thinking about money, give you a little money to think about too. we had a, which number are we on? The ROTC supplement? C3, please. And in recognizing that our ROTC instructors have kind of a fixed income situation of sorts that's tied to whatever comes out of school budgets and that sort of thing, we're interested in a proposal that would see $24,000 supplement for those ROTC instructors, acknowledging that they take on additional duties beyond instruction during the day. They're drilling, working with students beyond the regular school day, attending events, coordinating things, programs. I believe that appropriate to provide, and how many in the district? 3?
6.
6.
For high school, right? But I always thought it was for high school.
Yeah.
And 2,400 would be consistent with what other leaders working beyond contracting.
Now, I'm trying to remember from my days in HR, I believe that half of their salary is paid by the military, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not sure if it's exactly half, but
And I know the requirements are different for each branch of the military as to.
And the federal government can reduce their salaries, they do not get raises from us. And they do a lot of after hours drilling and parking vehicles and other things. And if it was any other program, they would be getting the supplement, because they fall under the language of the supplement beyond their school day. And a lot of districts do give the ROTC people supplements. And we think in fairness to them, because they are our employees, even though half their salary or a portion of their salary is paid by the federal government, that they be recognized and be given equity to what other employees would receive.
So what would be the total amount that we're talking about for?
2,400 times 6. You're playing with your phone.
like the $15,000 ballpark by the time you take into
14.
account FRS contribution for that.
It's about 17.51%. Now, hopefully FRS stays the same, but that happens.
I was 16.9.
Because I do know that half their salary is paid by the military, but even when they start quite a bit above our starting teacher salary. Depending on, I believe, their range, and maybe they're in the military, and there's some rules about that. I mean, they do start out, and their pay is higher than our starting teacher salaries pay is. As you bring up a supplement, whenever their income's already set to be higher.
Okay, and so, you know, sorry, it seems to me that when you're wanting money things, you accept us to rubber stamp it. I mean, and when we ask for things that don't cost the district anything, things that are less than half of what you're asking for, that you want us to rubber stamp it. And I don't know, you came to us with the cross country and really wanted that, and we said okay. And we said okay to the $5,000 for the mentoring, even though y'all haven't proven to us that you needed it. But we took that on faith, and I don't know, I don't know, the tone just seems off today. And
But Deborah,
and
I'm just pointing out something.
I understand.
understand the supplement, I get that, but I'm just wanting the group to understand that they may not be fully aware of, first of all, that half their salary comes from military, and that their starting salary their first year is higher considerably than a first-year teacher.
So we acknowledge that that's true with many roles in the district, right? Somebody who comes into the district to serve as a speech language pathologist must carry a master's and therefore is already coming in at a higher level. with experience in a very particular area and years behind them. I'm presuming you're bringing in ROTC instructors who are bringing with them military experience. That's part of the reason they started at a higher rate of pay. We honor experience as appropriate in terms of placement. So I don't think we struggle with that piece. We're aware, and I appreciate you pointing it out, because it is certainly something to be acknowledged, but I think our concern is that there's an acknowledgement that we have educators across the board in every walk, position, assignment that takes on additional responsibilities beyond their day, and they receive additional compensation for that. These are educators who have additional responsibilities beyond the day that we haven't yet begun to compensate for. So I think that's what we were really looking for.
Okay.
Okay.
Again, I just wanted everyone to understand the makeup of their salary. That it's not the same as our instructional staff that come in, okay, with 0 years experience, and this is where they start out next year at 38.
We have far fewer opportunities to benefit the ROTC instructors when we're bargaining for the bargaining unit. That's why a supplement seems to make sense. It is a way that we can support, demonstrate assistance to those members of the community.
Okay.
So we will took some pretty good notes. If you have anything else regarding the SLP and the psych supplements that you want to forward to us by emailing, so we can continue to look it over. We can have some conversation around this during caucus. Would like for you to consider both the proposal for the supplement for ROTC as well as contract language to mirror what is in the support contract, in the instructional contract for those new hires. And that'll give us plenty to go on.
Okay. This is teacher contract article. Okay, never mind. I know that. All right, we have a caucus?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, appreciate it.